Hi friends, it's time for Read Aloud. Remember our story we were reading yesterday? The tale of Peter Rabbit, and here's Peter Rabbit because he wants to hear the story too. Now yesterday we read the first half, today we're going to read the second half. The author's name is Beatrix Potter, and she's also the illustrator. Front cover, back cover, and spine. We're going to start off with the vocabulary words. Now these words are in your story. Water can, garden, rake, pond, hoe, gate, and whoopsie, tool shed. Let's get started. Here we go, my friends. Title page, The Tale of Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. And here's the cover page, The Tale of Peter Rabbit. Now we read all this. Remember, Mom told him to stay out of Mr. McGregor's garden, and he got out. There he is, and this is where we're going to continue. Mr. McGregor found a sieve, which he intended to put on top of Peter, but Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind. This right here is a sieve, okay? It's a sieve. Let's see what's next. I want to show you first. You see that, my friends? Oh, good. Let's see what happens to Peter. Peter rushed into the tool shed and jumped into a watering can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it not had so much water in it. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hidden underneath a flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, looking under each. Suddenly, Peter sneezed. Achoo! Uh-oh. Can you see that, my friends? Good. There he is, see? He's hiding in there, and there's water. I hope the water isn't cold. Poor Peter. Mr. McGregor was after him. In no time, he tried to catch Peter, who jumped out a window, upsetting 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter. He went back to his work. Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath, and he was trembling with fright, and he had no idea which way to go. Also, he was very damp from sitting in that can. Remember, it had water in it. After a time, he began to wander about, going lippity-lippity, not very fast, and looking around like this. See, he was looking around like this. There he is right there. Do you see that, my friends? Let's see what's next. He found a door in the wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath. An old mouse was running in and out over the stone doorstep, carrying peas and beans to the family in the woods. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth that she could not answer. She only shook her head at him. Peter began to cry. Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. Presently he came to a pond. A white cat was staring at some goldfish. She sat very, very still, but now and then the tip of her tail would twitch as if it was alive. Peter thought it was the best way to go away without speaking to her. He had heard about cats from his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny. So he has his cousin, and his cousin said, "Be careful with those cats." Can you see, my friends? You see the cat? You see the mouse? He went back toward the tool shed, but suddenly quite close to him, he heard a noise of a horror scratch, 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 scratch. Peter scuttered underneath the bushes, but soon as nothing happened, he came out and climbed upon a wheelbarrow. See, there he is, and peeped over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing the onions. His back was turned toward Peter, and beyond him was the gate. So the gate's over here. See, my friends? The gate's right here. And here's Mr. McGregor. And Peter has to get across somehow. I hope he does. Can you see? I hope so, because this is great. Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could go. A long straight walk behind some blackberry bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter did not care. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe at last in the woods outside the garden. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket and the shoes as a scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. Oh, look at poor Peter. Is he wearing his little coat? His little blue coat? No. Remember, he lost it. Peter never stopped running or looking behind him until he got home to the big fir tree. He was so tired that flopped down up upon the nice soft sand, the floor of the rabbit hole, and shut his eyes. His mother was cooking. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was a second little jacket and pair of shoes Peter had lost in 2 weeks. Look at his mom. I don't think she's angry at him. I think maybe she was worried. That evening, Peter was not very well. His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea. She gave him a dose of it to Peter. 1 tablespoon to be taken at bedtime, she said, but Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail had bread and milk and blackberries for supper. Aw, Mommy's taking care of Peter. She loves him. The end. Look at, see? Oh, Peter, aren't you so happy that your mommy loves you? I'm so glad that you're safe, Peter. Friends, thank you for joining us in our wonderful story of Peter Rabbit. Have a beautiful day, and don't forget, have fun being you.